Hello, brothers and sisters. Todd Wilkerson here from the Meadows Ward. We are going to learn to index today. So you can see on the this slide here that this was originally created by our dear friend Macy McCleary Jacobson back in October of 2021. I've taught this class several times, made some modifications, updated a few things here and there, and so that's why I've got that information on here as well, just so that we know when it was last updated. You can also see my email there. We want you to have a copy of this document because it's going to be a great support to you as you do indexing. So feel free to send me an email at toddwilkerson@outlook.com, and I will send you this deck so that you can use it. There are cheats in this deck. There's some information in this deck that you want to refer to as you go through your indexing, or as you learn to index, and as you index different things along the way. You're gonna want to leverage this document. Okay, why index? What is it, the Lord? What does the church want us to index? You can see in the blue box there. This is from the church's website. It says indexing makes more records accessible to members, so members can find and take family names to the temple. So we know how important the temple is and temple work. So this will support that, made accessible to people. So continuing on with that quote, "Behold, I will hasten my work in its time, said the Lord." And then the church continues on and says, indexing is one way the Lord is fulfilling that promise there in D&C 8873. Elder Bednar also said, as you participate in and love this holy work, you will be safeguarded in your youth and throughout your lives. So no matter where you're at in your life, if you're youthful or not, you'll be safeguarded throughout your life. So why does it matter, and what is indexing? There are tons of historical records out there. There are marriage certificates, death certificates, land ownership types of documents, census information. All that is generally handwritten, not always, but a lot of times it's handwritten, hard to read. So what the church does is they go out, they get that information, they digitize it, and essentially, that's step number 2 here. Essentially is what they do is make a copy of that, and then that is uploaded so that we can access that. So what indexing is we're going to access those copies, those digital conversions from these historical records, and we're going to be able to pull those up on our computer and make sense of those. Once we make sense of those, that's really transcribing that information, making sense of that, and then transcribing it, making it accessible. That's indexing. Once we make that accessible, it allows for additional information to be gathered. It makes it searchable on familysearch.org, and it just increases the database that we have access to, and that supports our goal in taking names to the temple and doing ordinances for those who have moved on before us. So that's why it matters. So a few things to keep in mind. And number 1, try to keep as accurate as possible, but don't be too anxious about this. You're not going to break anything. It's set up in such a way that you can't really break anything. Anything that you do index will be reviewed by at least or by people who have indexed at least 1,000 records. So just feel good that somebody else is going to review your work and maybe make some modifications that you may question along the process. And then practice. Just jump in. Have fun with this. You're going to love lots of what you do. Some are going to be a little bit frustrating, but overall, I think you're really going to enjoy it. And so practice. You'll get used to using the interface for sure. Additional things, overview. A group of images is called a batch. Batches can be large or small. They might take you just a few minutes, 15 minutes, or they might take you 1 to 2 hours. You will essentially rent a batch. So if you don't have 1 to 2 hours to jump in and do something, and the batch is going to take that long, you can jump in, spend some time on it, maybe spend 30 minutes on it, and you can go back to it and revisit it. So you will have about a week to be able to rent that batch and go in and complete it. If you finish it, you simply submit it. If you do not complete it, it will be returned, and somebody else can, jump in and finish it for you. or I should just say finish it, not necessarily for you. Don't worry about the work that you've done. It will be saved. And you can also voluntarily return a batch if you don't know how to do it. So how to get started. You're going to go to FamilySearch.org. If you've got this document, simply click on that link, or you simply type that into your Google search or whatever search that you use, search engine you use. Go to Family Search and then sign in using your church account. So however you log into your church account, you would log into Family Search as well. So use that same username and password, and then you'll click Get Involved and Indexing. So you can see here, if I navigate to Family Search, I'll click here, Get Involved. I will click Indexing. It will take me to an open another window where I find a project and then click Index. And I'm going to take you through that really quickly in just a moment. Additional things to remember. Each batch will have at least one image. Some might have more. We'll review that as well. You might have one batch or a batch might have one image that you index multiple things off that one image. Other times you might have multiple images that you go through one at a time. Again, don't worry about that. It's going to make sense as we jump into it. Make sure you read the instructions. You will find out if you don't read the instructions, you will get stuck. You'll go back, you'll read the instructions, and you'll have that aha effect telling you, yep, should have read those instructions in the beginning. The first step then is you're going to look at it. You're going to say, should this be indexed or not? You're going to ask this question. Do I actually have the information that I need? If the answer is no, don't index it. If it's a duplicate, then say no. I shouldn't say don't index it. You're going to say no. It's going to be a drop down as a yes or no. And so you would say no if it doesn't have the information you need. You're going to say no if it's a duplicate. But for the most part, anything that's on there, most things will be yes. So you have an opportunity to index. So once you've done that, everything will open up, and then you'll just start indexing the information. When we jump in the tool, you'll see that you have this toolbar. It's going to become your best friend. Again, this is one of the reasons I want you to have this document, because you can leverage this page here as a cheat sheet. So you can see here that this first icon is a save button or a go back button. The next one here is a quality check button. It's going to tell you how many fields you've got left. And then here, this nice little paper airplane, this is how you submit a batch. Moving on, this particular icon here, you can mark a field blank. Sometimes you'll have information that's just not provided. You can't leave it blank. You have to mark it blank. You can also mark an entire entry blank, so multiple fields. That's what this icon's for. And then if a field is unreadable, you would simply click that icon. Moving on, this next one here, you can add entries. So if you're moving along and you need an additional field, you simply add that field right here. If you need to delete some entries or fields, you would use that here. So let's go and look at that really quickly. So you can see on this particular slide that this shows that there's an image 1 of 1, and there's going to be entry 1 of 40. It actually is, it's just an entry of 1. And so you've got 39 more fields that need to be, or I should call these entries. These are fields here. And every time you move on and have a column like this, that would be an entry. So there's 39 more entries like this that follow this particular entry, but there's no information for that. So you would simply delete that, use that delete button of those other 39 entries, go through and delete those. So it's going to ask you, are you sure? But it'll be obvious. You will be sure, and you'll move on and delete those. So back to our best friend, the toolbar. We're going to skip these 3 here and jump to the last 3, and we will eventually come back to these. But really quickly, this one here is a handwriting example. You can see it's super helpful. Is this an E? Is it an I? Is it an L? If you're not sure, click on this and you'll have a page that pops up and will show you some samples to help you decipher that. The next one is if you want to share a batch with somebody. Maybe you've got a friend who really likes to do this as well. You can share that with them. They can help you out with this batch. Maybe make sense of something that you don't understand. Additional international characters to insert into a field if you need those. And then finally, here's the instructions. If you need to go back to those instructions after you've read those, you simply click on this icon here and it will take you back, which you will do that multiple times, especially as you're learning. So you'll also find that all fields, you can see here's an example of a field down here. Many fields will have this purple. It doesn't look purple because we've highlighted it here, but it'll be purple like this, a purple question mark. And that'll just give you information specific to that field. You can see here, sometimes it'll tell you not to correct errors, and other times it says you can correct errors. Another zoom in, zoom out. This is on the side of your entry column, and that's for obvious reasons. There, you can certainly make adjustments to make it clearer, etc. Here's that kind of a snapshot of that handwriting sample, so you can leverage that. It'll make perfect sense to you and help you out immensely, actually. And then if you find a duplicate, you would simply use this icon here to go back to the beginning, to step 1, and you will have a drop down where you will actually put in no extractable data and move on from there. Now, we'll move back to our last 3 icons that we skipped. You can see here that if you're doing multiple entries, you might find that one particular field is the exact same information. So you can copy from one field and just copy into the next field so you don't have to retype it. You can do that exact same thing for a variety of fields. So some selected fields. So this is for one field. This one here is for multiple fields. And this one here would be for an entire entry. So perhaps all the information is the same except for the particular date. And so you would simply copy the entire entry and then go in and change the date. And of course, that'll save you a ton of time as well. So with that, let's jump in and get started and take you through. So again, you would simply navigate to familysearch.org, sign in using your church account, and then we'll take you through the get involved and start indexing. So we'll go here. You can see it takes us to our family search. I'm actually already logged in, but you know how to log in. It's just going to ask you for your username and your password, and it'll take you to this page here. So once you're to this page, you're going to click here to get involved. You're going to navigate down to indexing, click on that. And you can see I've got a couple of open batches here that I've opened this morning. I started looking at, but if I simply want to find a project, I can click here and you can see there's lots of projects that I can choose from. I'd simply click index here and it'll take me into those particular projects. You can see here you can have a beginner, you can have intermediate, and you can have advanced if that's opened up to you. You have to index a certain amount before this will open up to you. For the most part, open up beginning and intermediate. Sometimes you will open up just beginning and there's nothing there, so you have to open up both or at least check on these boxes here, both the beginning and intermediate box to get some documents to index. So let's turn off intermediate and see what's there. So there is one. There's one that we can index. In fact, I've opened this one up today. So that's nice. But again, sometimes this will be completely empty and you'll have to click on this intermediate box to get things to index. So let's just do this one because it should be nice and simple. So I click on index there. It's telling me here that this information has some social security numbers in it, but despite that sensitive information, we're going to go ahead and index this. So we're going to click OK. So as I jump into this particular one, for whatever reason, the instructions did not pop up. So I'm just going to click on that. And this is going to give me some instructions. So you can see that this includes death records from South Carolina from 1968 to 1972. These were typically handwritten. Some of them are printed. I saw one earlier this morning as I was looking at this. It was nice and clear. It was printed, but this particular one, as you can see here, is handwritten and may not be as easy. But each of these images will contain a single record. So that's what this instruction is telling us to index. Things to remember. So again, a reminder of what that purple question mark is. these completed indexes and links, the completed index and links to digital images will be freely accessible online to the general public. This is general information. Let's go down to these additional guidelines here. So you could click on each one of these to give you additional guidelines as to what you should and should not index here. So let me just close that up too. Sometimes you will get, in fact, let me see if it's here. It is. It's right here. So that was the very top. I just want you to see this, what to index here. If you click on this, again, it's going to tell you if we say yes over here, instead of saying no, it's going to give us this document to index. So then we click on this. This is going to show us and highlight in red what fields go where. So you can see here that there is a state file number. That's number 1 right here. Number 2 is the deceased's given name, George Frank, right here. Number 3 is the surname right here, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that obviously very, very helpful as well. So you want to make sure you read those instructions, go through those, and that'll help you. Again, if you do get stuck and need to go back to those instructions, just simply click on this particular icon. Here's that other help where you can zoom in and zoom out. You can grab this and drag this around so that you can see this. And again, this looks a little bit dark, so maybe we can try to lighten it up a little bit. And there we go. That seems to be better, and it is kind of, see if we can change the contrast. So play with this a little bit, apply that, and then we can start looking at indexing this. So now that we're looking at this does look like it's going to be difficult to read, but we will see what we can do. But everything's there for us to index, so we're going to say yes. Again, if it was a duplicate, we could say no extractable data. So with that, we're actually going to say yes and click next. And so the state file number, you can see that's here. Again, I'm going to zoom in and get that. That says here state file number. So that is the 720149997. So we got in that, or entered that. Now the deceased's name, that one is much more difficult to read. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And so that could be an N, that could be an M. Looks like it's in parentheses here. Mary Bell, Elyy. Boy, that one's going to be a difficult one. So I'm going to come back to that just for, so you don't have to see me struggle going through this, but I would put their names in here. It looks to me like this last name here might be Miller, Millie, so we could put that one in there. Again, this is going to be reviewed by somebody. Let's see what this question is. Okay. So, but we do know this. The sex here is female, so we can do this drop down here. That's female. We've got a death month. Let's see. Date of death, 7/21 of 72. So we're going to go the year. Here is 1972. Oh, death day, I forgot to put that in there. And 7 of 27. Oops. So it's not going to allow me to do it with numerically, so I'm going to type in, what's it going to tell me? Type the 1 or 2-digit number of the day. Do not include zeros written at the beginning of a number. Okay. And then if the day was not recorded or handwritten, as variations of the word unknown, press Control-B to mark this field. Like, got it. So again, you're starting to see how helpful all of this is. It's really hard to make a mistake, but we're just going to do 7/27 and no slashes in there to separate that. So there we go. That's what it asked us to do. And then we can continue on with this. you can see, I won't take you through all of this or spend the time doing that. You can see we're going through all of this, and we'd simply submit it when we're done and move on to the next document. Hopefully the next document's a little bit clearer. But anyways, before I finish this and submit this, I will go back and work a little bit on this particular name and make sure that I get that in there as well. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. This here is the month, so that's where I'm going to put in the 7 or July, and then here is the day. You probably caught that before. So anyways, you can see again, very simple, except for there's are times when it's hard to read. But anyways, hopefully this gives you a great overview of how to start and how to do indexing. It's going to be a lot of fun for you. I think you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but also helping those that are beyond the veil, as our prophet has asked us. Good luck. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.